candidate forum for our special guest, Dr. Jim Burkee and Congressman Sensenbrenner. My name is Jim Galbraith. I'm from the Washington County Republican Party, and we're very pleased to be putting on this candidate forum for you tonight. I'd like to start, if everybody would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is in the corner. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce our moderator for the evening, Mr. Owen Robinson, and I will turn the proceedings over to him.
Thank you, Jim. And thank all of you for coming this evening. It's nice to see such a full room. Thank you to the Washington County Republican Party for hosting this event. And thank you for both the candidates for coming this evening. Voters appreciate it. This is a forum for the benefit of the Republican voters of the 5th District to... Okay, Sandy's telling me something, I don't know what. Yep, good point. Sandy reminds us, for me to remind all of you, to please turn your cell phones off so as not to disrupt the proceedings. Thank you. As I was saying, this is a forum put together by the Washington County Republican Party to allow all of the voters of the 5th District to get to know the two candidates running for the Republican nomination for the 5th District. Joining us this evening is Congressman Jim Sensenbrenner on my left. He's represented the 5th District since 1979. Prior to that, he served in the Wisconsin legislature for 10 years. He and his wife live in Menominee Falls and have 2 sons. Also joining us on my right is Dr. Jim Burkee. Dr. Burkee is a professor of history at Concordia University, his alma mater. He lives in Mequon with his wife and 3 children. The format for this evening was agreed upon by both candidates and will be as follows. Each candidate will be given a 2-minute opening statement. For the first half of the forum, I will ask questions that were prepared ahead of time by a committee in the Washington County Republican Party. During this period, audience members are invited to submit written questions. These questions will be filtered to prevent duplicate questions, to prevent inappropriate questions, and then halfway through the hour, they will be given to me, and we'll spend the second half of the hour asking the audience questions. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes to respond to each question, and we'll alternate who goes first on the responses. There's no time planned for rebuttals, but I reserve the right to offer a candidate a rebuttal if I deem it necessary. Also, there's no time allocated for follow-up questions. However, I also reserve the right to ask that if I so choose. So I ask that both the candidates and the audience respect the time limits to allow the audience here today and those who will be viewing this either online or on Wisconsin Eye, who's here in the back of the room, respect the time for everybody who will view this so that everybody can learn as much as possible about the 2 candidates. And with that, let's begin. Congressman Sensenbrenner.
Thank you very much, Owen. I'd like to thank both you and the Washington County Republican Party for putting together this forum tonight. I think it's appropriate that the Republican Party sponsor this forum because this is a Republican primary. Before beginning, I'd like to introduce my wife Cheryl, my partner and best friend for 31 years, and mother of my 2 sons. Tonight I ask for your vote on September 9th to continue common sense, conservative representation of this district in the Congress of the United States. America faces difficult times. We have a soft economy. We have high energy prices. We've lost jobs to China, India, and other countries. We face the threat of international terrorism both home and abroad. And we now see a resurgent Russia. These are difficult issues. They're going to require a steady hand on the tiller, both in the White House and in the Senate and the House of Representatives. And by renominating me next month, you will have that strong hand on the tiller, because I believe I've been a strong, reliable, and proven voice in the House of Representatives. I do my job today with the same dedication and enthusiasm as when I was first elected your representative. Since the last election in 2006, I've held 236 town meetings and office hours. I've attended more parades, picnics, broad fries, spaghetti dinners, and other type of civic events than I would care to count. I'm here, I'm accessible, and I'm accountable. And that's what I think people want in their representative. With your support and with your vote next month, that type of representation will continue. Thank you.
Dr. Burkee?
Thanks, Owen. I'm going to be in trouble if I don't introduce my wife, my beautiful wife Susan, mother of our 3 children, and by the way, Blue Cedar. Thank you all for coming out tonight. It's really exciting to see all of us out here enthusiastically exercising our citizenship. And I'll remind all of us that this is a Republican primary, but because we live in a fairly gerrymandered district, we are again in an election cycle where there's no Democratic challenger, which means that on September 9th, that is your election. That is our only choice, our only real choice for congressmen here. Tonight's debate, as I see it, is really about honesty. It's about honesty about how our Republican Party and why our Republican Party betrayed us, violated our values in those 6 years when they were in power in Washington, D.C., my Republican Party. Honesty about the debt, the burden that we put on our children. $10 trillion coming up this next month, $53 trillion over the lifetimes of our children. Honesty about our nation's failed energy policy. For 30 years, we've known what was coming and done nothing. Honesty about incumbency. This isn't about accessibility. It is about asking the question, is it good for our country to have one man virtually own an office for 30 years, almost unchallenged? Is that good for democracy? Honesty about ethics in government. Why is it okay for, or why is it wrong for someone to accept a cash contribution or a cash gift from a lobbyist, but it's okay to accept free travel and other gifts? We're at a critical juncture in our history, and for Republicans here tonight, I'm asking for an opportunity to help you embrace new leadership and a new direction in this country. Tonight's an opportunity to wipe aside the dishonesty that has been responsible for what we've seen in Washington, for the expansion of government, and for the burden placed on our kids. Looking forward to the chance to talk honestly about some of these issues, and again, just thank you for being here tonight and for the opportunity to earn your vote. Thanks.
I would remind the audience that you can submit questions anytime during this first half hour. If you do have a question you want to submit, please just raise your hand and there will be somebody in the back of the room who will bring you a card and then collect it later. With that said, let's begin with the first question. The past few years have seen a remarkable increase in the cost of energy. From the cost of heating their homes to the pain at the pump, the residents of the 5th District are having to alter their lifestyles in order to afford the cost of energy. What should Congress do, if anything, about America's energy policy? And we'll begin with Congressman Sensenbrenner.
What Congress should do is to have a Manhattan Project type, which has everything on the table. We can't exclude any type of energy alternative if we are to stop the hemorrhage of the transfer of $700 billion a year from our pocketbooks to the pocketbooks of people who hate us. I think we're having everything on the table. Drilling, coal, shale, tar sands, natural gas, solar and wind power, and renewables. But that's not going to be enough, because what we're going to have to also do is to build the infrastructure to get that energy to where the people are. It doesn't make any sense to drill in Anwar when the nearest pipeline is 70 miles away. It doesn't make any sense to pass the Pickens plan without having an expedited way of putting transmission lines in to get that electricity from North Dakota to where the people are. And we need to build more refineries because we're already up to the limit of the refinery production. So my efforts in Congress are going to be to put everything on the table. And I would hope that if Speaker Pelosi allows us a vote after Labor Day, which she said she wouldn't last month, she would open up the process so that the House can work its will and have amendments rather than gaming the system and having a bill with a lot of high taxes and unpalatable non-market-based alternatives, and then saying that that's the energy solution which is my way or the highway. So let's open everything up, let's have a fair and transparent process, and I think we'll be able to get ourselves out of the oil barrel that we've stuck ourselves into.
Thank you, Congressman. Dr. Burkee?